relationship. Growing up, I have been told that a relationship with God is the most amazing thing a person can experience. Throughout this essay, I will be answering one question. Does the shack portray the physiological process of grief and emotional recovery? My answer to this is yes, because to me, this book has given me another way of seeing the pain that Mac went through. While reading The Shack, I have come to realize that when you feel alone and feel like there is no one there with you, God is always with you, even when you don't realize it. I believe The Shack portrays the physiological process of grief and emotional recovery because upon Mac's arrival at the shack, he doesn't understand why God would let his beloved daughter Missy be killed. Upon him having the conversation with Sarah and wisdom, he begins to see and understand. When he sees his dad and forgives the man who killed Missy, he begins to understand the relationship God wants to have with him. Mac's conversation with God at the beginning of the book, when Mac arrives at the shack, gives me another reader's clues to how Mac is trying to understand why God would let his beloved daughter Missy be killed. The book states, "If you couldn't take care of Missy, how can I trust you to take care of me?" There, he said it, the question that had tormented him every day of the great sadness. The conversation gives us a better understanding of the grief and loneliness that is felt deep down. Reading and watching The Shack gave me a chance to understand the pain and sorrow Mac went through. Looking at the words and actions of Mackenzie, I came to understand that he truly felt betrayed. The conversation Mac has with Sarah and wisdom, I began seeing him comprehending what they are trying to tell him. As I read these chapters, it gave me another point of view in the story. During Mackenzie's and Sarah's conversation, they began to talk about the Garden of Eden and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Upon reading this, I couldn't help but ask myself, why are we so quick to judge others and decide if they're good or evil? During Max and Wisdom's conversation, I asked the same question. Why are we so quick to judge others when we can't even judge ourselves? While he was in the cave with Wisdom, Mac was the judge and had to choose between his kids because it's what he believes God does. When Mac was asked to choose, he couldn't, and he chose himself instead and started to understand what Wisdom was trying to make him comprehend. When Mac wakes up on the last morning he is going to be at the shack, God tells him he will need a father for the last part of his healing. As Mac follows God up the mountain, he notices trail markers on the path. Mackenzie starts to break down when he realizes that the markers are from Missy's killer. God tells him that to get further into his healing, he is going to need to forgive Missy's killer. Reading this made me ask myself, why do we forgive those who have hurt us so much? I realize it's not just to forgive, it's also to relieve us from our grief trapped in us for so long we start to shut down. The shack states, forgiveness is not about forgetting Mac. It is about letting go of another person's throat. Mac could forgive his dad, but didn't understand why he needed to forgive Missy's killer. Reading how he forgave his dad and Missy's killer, I started to feel the change in him. When I watched the movie, I could feel and see the change in Mac, and I could see his relationship getting stronger with Papa as he healed with God, Sarah, wisdom, and Jesus' help. Reading this book has changed my point of view and perspective for the better. The Shack is a wonderful book that will make you feel, make you change, make you want to have a better way of dealing with things that you have gone through. Being able to see and read what Mac went through made me realize that it doesn't matter what you're doing, what you did, how you did it, or where you are, God is always by your side. God will always be there and ready to be a father, a friend, and a teacher to help and guide you on the right path and through your grief and suffering. Mac didn't have just God, Jesus, and Sarah to help him. He also had his children, his wife, his best friend. All these people were there to help Mac. Everything Mac went through, all the conversations, all the tears, all the screams and laughters, was to come into relationship with healing. The words that you have read are why I believe The Shack portrays the physiological process of grief and emotional recovery, and why I'll keep believing in healing through relationship.
That is good.